Well, welcome, friends, to the Campus Ministry Podcast, sponsored by VS Students. I'm your host, Clayton Bullion, and I'm here with good friend and mentor, Steve Shadrack. Steve, how are you doing today?
Brother, I'm doing well. I got my protein drink. I got my High Point University vest on, and excited to be with my friend and boss, Clayton Bullion.
You tell people that all the time, and I cringe. What a high honor and scary thought.
Yes. Yes. Very impressive.
Well, so Shad, we're doing an episode a little bit different today. We've been talking about some of the EDM personalities, trying to get to know them a little bit off stage. And today, as we kind of transition we're still going to meet some of the EDM personalities, but as we kind of transition from some of our main session speakers to our workshop leaders and other personalities involved in that, it's you and I are going to talk about some of our favorite things about EDM and about the whole planning process. But you've been in the collegiate game for a while, judging from the wisdom and the color of your beard and your hair.
Yes.
But different than maybe some of our listeners who are, at a church, on staff at a church, or they're a registered student organization. You're not technically on campus. We don't have a Shadrack student movement going on at University of Arkansas. But you've still got your finger in the Great Commission pie. Like, you still are involved in college students. And so what are you up to these days? How are you connecting with students?
Well, I love students, as you know, and that really keeps me young. And I think they like me. That's strange. But I think the key is that if we like them, if we enjoy them, there's a reciprocation that takes place. Right. That's just human nature. If they sense you enjoy them, if they sense you like them, if they sense you want to be with them, that makes all the difference in the world. I don't care what your age is. And so most of our audience is, church-based and campus-based, collegiate ministry workers and volunteers and leaders and so forth. And so I pray for students, and it gives me a love for them. My particular focus is the fraternities at the University of Arkansas. And there's a mini movement going on in virtually every house on this campus. The Unite Us ministry that's kind of going from major campus to major campus, gathering all the thousands of students, that you all have probably heard about, and having some great response. Well, I think they gather more students at Arkansas than any other campus. There were over 10,000 students in our basketball arena the night that the band and Jenny Allen and others came to share the gospel. And so there's a movement here, and I think a big part of it is these fraternity presidents, the unity they feel with one another. It's strange, but they actually elect committed Christians sometimes as the president of their fraternities. That didn't happen when I was going through college. They didn't want me anywhere near the presidency when I was a Christian in college, But that's what I do, Clayton. Is I get to speak at staff gatherings and student gatherings of different ministries and different places around the U.S. and beyond. I get to spend a month in the spring and spend a month in the fall in different countries in Asia, or this next year Latin America, and so I get to serve pastors, ministry leaders, campus workers in other countries and training them. A lot of times it's in EDM, personal evangelism, personal disciple making, and then of course, how do you raise up and send missionaries? And that's really what kind of the focus of my life is. But so Sunday nights in my barn, bro, free food has a way of pulling them in, right? But I think for 16 years, at least here at Arkansas, I've been doing it, since the 80s, really. But pull all the fraternity presidents together, and every other time we meet, they'll either this week bring your vice president, and next time bring your pledge class president. Next time, by the time the semester or school year is over with, you've met virtually every key person in that fraternity. And then, but then I choose 6. out of the bigger group, 6 that I think may not be believers, never been in a Bible study, never really had exposure like this. And so I invite them to be part of the immortal 6. And so that's Wednesday mornings. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. in my breakfast table, there'll be 6 for these fraternity presidents. And this is the first time they've opened up the scriptures, first time they've really been in a Bible study, talked openly like this. So we're building relationships. We're exposing them to the scriptures, to the gospel, and then one at a time, meeting with them individually, giving them a chance to receive Christ. And the ones that do, we start following up. And so I could talk a whole lot more about that, but that's really been my focus for a lot of years. Clayton is these fraternity presidents, and people may not know, but at the University of Arkansas, most of the fraternities and most of the sororities are the largest chapter in the nation. That's how big and powerful, I guess you could use the word, the Greek system is here. The largest fraternity in the nation, for instance, is right here in Arkansas. But most of their chapters are the largest. So if you were to come here and see the fraternity houses and see the sorority houses, they'll put 300 to 400 girls in a sorority house. They'll put 200 to 300 guys in a fraternity house. And so it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and the thing I love about that, Steve, is you looked at campus, you looked at kind of where you're at, and it's like, all right, who are my connections? Who are the people I know? Who can I connect with? And what's unique about the University of Arkansas, and you found, we use the phrase like you found a way to put your hand in the Great Commission pie, and it's such an encouragement for all of us, because you're right. You love college students. You pray for college students, and it doesn't matter if you're a 25 near peer relationship or they would view you as more of a sage Gandalf, grandfather figure. There's still something to connect and relate to. That's powerful. That's super powerful.
Well, thank you, buddy. I love it, and I'm going to keep going as long as they'll have me. I'm going to keep going for sure.
For sure, I'm rooting for it.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Well, what about you, brother? You're the director of VIA Students. The name of the ministry is VIA. A number of years ago, we changed it from Center for Mission Mobilization to the word VIA. We're in 26 different nations, and the words missions and mobilization doesn't help you any as you're trying to get into some of these closed countries. Right. Plus, it's too long, too arrogant, too boring. But VIA is kind of a cool word that it's used in several languages, and it kind of describes what we're trying to do worldwide. We're trying to reach the world for Christ through the Great Commission, but primarily doing that through helping other countries raise up and send their own missionaries to the unreached. They're so much closer, geographically to those unreached groups than we are, but we can come in as servants and to help them. And so that's the organization that Clayton and I are with, and we get to kind of have a little slice of the pie where it's focused on the student ministry across the planet. And that's what Clayton is directing for us in the U.S. and really around the world as we try to expand this continent by continent. So, okay, that's my intro to you, Clayton. Tell us what you're up to these days, bro.
Well, if you guys listened to last week's podcast or the last episode, we got to spend some time with our dear friend Robel Desasa out of Ethiopia. And if you haven't heard that yet, go back and listen to that. God's doing some amazing things in Ethiopia. But one of the things I personally love about what I get to do is this connection with people doing college ministry all over the globe. And right now, there's this huge movement going on in Asia of students coming, responding to this call of, man, what would it look like to give your life as missionaries? What would it look like to give your life cross-culturally? And so that's, I think in the month of October, in 3 different countries, had 400 young adults answer a call to cross-cultural missions. And so the Lord is raising up workers in Asia to send to other parts of Asia cross-culturally. And that's the hope. My prayer is all of us are, you listen to this and you're preparing for summer missions, and you're trying to figure out how do you send your students on to other campuses across the globe. My hope and my prayer is that when the Americans land on a campus in an unreached people group, they look up and go, man, there's already Asian believers here sharing the gospel. So they go to Africa to serve youth and young adults. They look up and go, man, there's Europeans and Africans and Latin Americans here doing the same thing. Because that's our hope, that every country would experience a student volunteer movement. So I'm actually, you're doing a 5-country tour. It looks like coming up this spring, working with some pastors. I'm getting to head to South Asia to kind of be a part of and see what's going on amongst young adults there. But I'm also right in the middle of EDM, as you guys know. Um, and and Shad, I don't know if you've seen these numbers yet, but like right now we've got about 60 unique ministries, and so ministries, churches that have said, hey, we want to be a part of this from over 30 states. Right now we're looking at about 12, 13 countries that are already coming. And so EDM looks like it's going to be this melding pot of a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and places. And so it's going to be a blast. But Shad, EDM was kind of your baby dreaming this up. What are you looking forward to the most about EDM 25?
Well, thank you, buddy. I think Paul Wooster certainly is a key man in some of these ideas and visions that we try to cook up. Even this podcast and the fuel and the flame. And he's a close friend of yours and mine, and so we've got to give credit to him for a lot of these ideas as we push forward. But, bro, the collegiate body of Christ around the U.S., around the world. I've said it before, the combination of COVID and the culture wars, it did a number. It did a number on so many different ministries. And hundreds of people have left the mission field of campus-related workers, have left the ministry. Some organizations have split down the middle because they're arguing about race or gender or, vaccines, or, all the different things that we just seem to beat each other up over, And so I think the original vision that I keep kind of hammering away at, Clayton, is how do we get back to the basics, major on the majors? How do we get back to the Great Commission? Some of these causes, issues that we're fighting over, some of them are important. I'm not saying they're not, but whatever happened to the Great Commission, that's to be our main focus, and so we just kind of repackaged that a little bit. I came to Christ through Campus Crusade, Athletes in Action, and they've always used this phrase, win, build, send. Well, I love that. We just kind of we kind of unpacked that a little bit. We just said evangelism, disciple making, and missions mobilization. And so we're just viewing every campus as a launching pad. And so as these church-based and campus-based collegiate workers from around the country, from around the world, come to Fort Worth in May, we're going to bleed all over them. Our plenary speakers, our workshops, they're all practitioners, our panels, on what does it mean to really embrace your campus and be a go-to-them ministry, not just to come to us to our large group meeting or something, but no. What does it mean to go to that campus, go right to the heart of that campus and plant the flag of Jesus Christ right there? How do you do that? And that's the evangelism piece. How do you then spend most of your time, it's the hidden factory behind the front door of this idea of making disciples who make disciples who make, and now we're graduating these laborers for Christ, but not just graduating them. We're hoping that they're choosing strategic places to go, and they want to use their life for the Great Commission. And of course, some estimate there's 2.5 billion people that are still cut off from the gospel. And so as many workers as we can raise up from the States, as many workers as we can raise up from Latin America, Africa, Asia, Europe, to go to these unreached areas, that's the area of greatest need. So getting, hundreds and hundreds of these workers together, there's a sharpening that takes place. The folks that don't come or they don't feel the need to come, the organizations that don't come, that's their prerogative. But I'm wondering if they're missing out on something. if they could be learning something, if they could be challenged in their vision and their passion and their best practices, and just to unite the body of Christ, that alone brings honor to God. And so, if you come to EDM, you're going to meet people from all over the world who are trying to do what you're doing. And so, come teachable. Bring a boatload of staff. Try to come as teachable as you can and say, Lord, where can I grow in my vision? Where can I grow in my passion? Where can I grow in my strategy as I'm trying to reach my campus? And so we're just asking God to really ignite and multiply movements all over the U.S., all over the world, and they're EDM movements. I'm not trying to say we're branding that. It has to be, called EDM. No. But that's the focus of what you're seeking to do, and that every campus becomes a launching pad. Every single campus becomes a sending base. And that has a way of not only building strong leaders, Clayton, it has a way of attracting strong leaders. If you want to have a powerful ministry full of powerful students who are going to want to do powerful things for the Lord, you give them a vision for the world. And how reaching the campus is tied to reaching the world, oh my word, you are going to have a core of student leaders that are full of vision and passion and zeal. They're going to want to be world changers, I guarantee.
Man, that makes me want to sign up again.
Please register. Just use a different name this time, would you please? Well, you're going to be one of our main speakers, Clayton. I'm going to be. My specialty is the door greeter. I like to be the greeter. That's my specialty. But you're going to be one of the main session speakers. You and Robel from last week, our last episode. You guys are speaking, I think, the same evening of that Thursday night session. So tell us what you're going to be talking on, and give us a little taste of what you're going to be focusing on that evening, bro.
Well, I drew the short end of the stick. Like, I have the small straw having to follow Robel. I think we may have to move it where I set him up, because I'm so excited to hear from him. But I think we're at Thursday night is a lot of that mobilization missions kind of push, and this look of what does it look like for us to raise up our eyes. And Shad, this, like, we've all been in those moments where it's I'm looking at my campus and my students and what's next, and our hope is to get the flywheel moving, as Paul talks about often, is like, get from good to great college ministry, get the flywheel. Just if I could just get a little more momentum in this house or this dorm or with this student group, and if I can just get my leaders to do this on their own and see third generation multiplication, and you just kind of get down and get busy. And you forget to look up. You forget to look up and say, man, there's a global church, there's a global vision, there's a global Great Commission. And how do I be a part of the Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, ends of the earth? And oftentimes at least us as Westerners, we look and go, man, no, someone else should do that. Like, I'm busy doing this. And one of the things we did when every campus kind of started this movement several years ago, it was just like, hey, where's the gospel at? And Ty Lamb and Collegiate Prayers kind of pushed that globally in a lot of ways. But one of the things is when all of us started comparing and sharing data of where's the gospel at the U.S., or is it globally? What does this look like? Most of us thought, man, we're on most of the campuses in the U.S. Like the campus ministry, church saturated, country. Like, surely the U.S. has got 100% campuses. And what we did is we looked up, and after 100 years of campus ministry, we're all in the same spots, but we're only on half the spots. We look up and there's 15, 20, 30 ministries. I think at Texas A&M there's 80 ministries. Of course, there's 80,000 students there. So
I dare not shake my head. Sorry.
Well, people rag on A&M, but they've got more college students than like half the states in the U.S. And that, as for our Aggie listeners, that's why you guys can act like a cult. You outnumber everybody. we're going to get emails on that. I shouldn't have said that. But the idea is that oftentimes we get our heads down and we go, man, what's the easy place? And we forget that there's still hard places out there. And so what does it look like for us to raise up our eyes and say, Lord, man, where are the places? Where's the place without the low hanging fruit? Where are the gaps in the Great Commission that I need to plug my life into the bigger picture? And so I get to be a part of that session. And I'm totally honored, totally terrified, all at the same time. So, Shad, as we kind of talk through this, and this may be a little bit off topic, but one of the key components of hard places is staying in the game long term. This long obedience in the same direction. And it makes me kind of think through a resource you put out several years ago called 12 Great Commission Decisions You Need to Make. And we talk about doing ministry in hard places, finishing well, not retiring in college ministry, although that's a great idea. Everybody should do it. But this like, man, I'm going to press on even when things are hard. Like what are a couple of keys that come to your mind on leaning in and staying the course?
Well, I just haven't found retirement in the Bible, Clayton. I've been looking for many, many years. I just can't find it anywhere. I think it's something that, Merrill Lynch or, one of these investment groups have kind of foisted upon us so that we'll send them money every month and they can take it and, and use it and grow it and take some of the portions themselves so that, we think we're going to somehow retire. I'm not saying we shouldn't, as we get older, seek to build some financial flexibility or even some time flexibility. And so I've got 10 grandkids, with more to come. So I certainly want to spend time with those kiddos and have time to do that. But a person needs a reason to wake up in the morning. And it better be a good reason. It can't just be, gosh, I'm going to, watch my morning show or I'm going to, look at my seashell collection or something. No, I think it has to be something hopefully of value, of eternal value, leaving behind a legacy. A close friend of mine just passed away tomorrow, or Thursday rather, is his funeral service. And he was not a Christian, full-time Christian, or he was a veterinarian, but he left behind a legacy of touching people's lives for Christ. He had a reason to wake up each morning. And so I think, that's part of the EDM conference really is we're kind of secretly challenging everyone there to view campus. If this is the most strategic category of persons on the planet to reach, college students, why ever move away from it? Why do something less strategic if you truly believe this is the most strategic? And so Paul Wooster and I, and Clayton is kind of our main editor here on a book that we're putting together for collegiate ministry staff. And we hope to have it ready, at least a reader's version of it, by the EDM conference in May that we're going to pass out to everyone, a free copy. That's another little perk, right?
Well, that blew our cover right there.
That's right.
You blew our cover.
We better have it ready. We just made the announcement. Right. We're working diligently on it. But it's going to be 38 chapters divided into different sections. And it's basically, if you're a church-based or a campus-based collegiate ministry worker, this is the book for you. You won't agree with everything in it. You don't have to apply everything in it. It's ideas. It's how myself and Paul and Clayton and others have really approached a college campus, but not just to develop a ministry. How do you develop a movement? And so it's kind of, how do you move from a ministry to a movement? Or how do you launch a ministry such that it will become a movement? We describe and define those things in there. And so, again, some of the people will not like what we say. They won't agree with what we say. It'll be too intimidating by what we say. And God has led every single person in a different way to do ministry on their various campuses. And yet, are there principles? Are there strategies? Are there tried and true approaches that we've seen? I've been on well over 500 campuses. I've been involved, in my opinion, in 3 or 4 different movements during my lifetime. I've seen thousands of ministries, but seldom do I see a movement. And so, what is the key to that? What's the solution to that? Oh Lord, where water once flowed, let it flow again, is what Luther Wishart prayed, and he's the one that helped kick off the whole student volunteer movement here in the United States, and he prayed that prayer. So those are just some thoughts. Keep that vision alive, keep that passion alive, and do it with people you like and enjoy and respect, and that's going to keep you in the saddle for a lot of years, I think, Clayton, and just change lives. I mean, there's good addictions and bad addictions. A good addiction is when you see a college student turn their heart over to Christ and really start to grow and make a difference, and then they start leading others to Christ and they start becoming a laborer themselves. Bro, you see that happen just one time, that may hook you for life. You go, I don't think I want to do anything else. Appreciate the big job you're offering me, Mr. Businessman over here. I appreciate the great opportunity over here to be some, other role in life, but I don't know. I think I want to stick with this one. This is going to be my lifetime addiction, to see lives changed for Jesus Christ, the person and purposes of Jesus Christ. I don't know. That'll keep you busy for a lifetime if you choose to make it happen like that.
Yeah, it's spiritual crack for the soul. You get addicted real quick.
That is really right. Well, we may be running out of time, brother. When you're my age, you have to, just do life in little segments, right? Then I have to go take a nap, right? And then, get up and drink some warm milk. And I can't tell you how much these guys rib me for my age. I've turned 50 now. And so they rib me for my age. No, I'm a little older than that. I'm sorry, but we are running out of time. So, but we have asked each of our EDM speakers we've had on the podcast this question, Clayton. You know that you've been doing a lot of the interviewing, but and I don't want to make the whole podcast about EDM, but it is coming up, and we're praying that every single. I don't want to leave anybody out. I'm thinking of these campus workers that are on all these campuses across the U.S. and beyond. They're feeling alone. They're feeling overwhelmed. I'm thinking of these college pastors. Maybe they're the only person on staff that's really trying to reach students there. You have a burden for the campus. You have a burden for students. But what resources, what tools, what people, what ministries, and so we're also trying to help you understand in your community. Who's trying to reach students? Let's do it together. Let's not do it separately. We're even approaching key churches and in major collegiate towns, and we're saying, what if you were to scholarship? What if you were to give 20, 30, 40 scholarships to EDM conference, and you as a local church were to extend the handout to all these other church-based and other campus-based ministries and really make that conference available to them by covering their registration? That'd just be an act of not only graciousness, but a real unifier. I think the world is looking at us. I think they look at us. They're fascinated with how we handle persecution. And they're also fascinated when they see us unified. They expect us to be doing this. That's what we do. But when they see how we respond to persecution, and whether we're divided or unified, the world will know that we are Christians because of the love we have for one another. So that unity part, community by community, campus by campus, we should not underestimate the power of that and how God can use that to really draw and make curious and interested non-believers. In a world that is so divided, they're looking for some kind of group, some kind of cause, some kind of community that is not divided, that is unified. And if we can unify together around the person and purposes of Jesus Christ, oh my word, there's no greater unity you can experience. So anyway, I'm pontificating again, brother. Sorry. But finish this off here. Why are you choosing to be at EDM? I know you're the director, you're hosting it and all, Clayton, but is it just going to be the good food and the amazing worship and that Six Flags Over Texas is down the road from the church? I mean, give our listeners some unique reasons why you and they should be there and join us at EDM.
Well, I think there's two things that stick out at EDM 23 when we kind of test drove this. One of them, and we may have shared this on the podcast, but one of my distinct kind of core memories is when Bo Cressetto was speaking on evangelism.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Well, and the memory is because I was sitting down there, and so it was you, and Steve, you've got the evangelist bone, like you're sharing the gospel regularly. Paul Wooster is sitting like next to you, who's evangelist in his own right, and then on the other side,
he has the gift of evangelism. Paul does. I do not have the gift, and I'm glad that I don't, because then others could say, "Well, Shadrach, the reason you're sharing the gospel is because you have the gift." No. I don't have the gift. I promise I don't.
But you have the discipline.
Well, I the interest. I think if I love somebody, I'm going to share the gospel with them. If I don't love them, I'm not going to share the gospel with them. It's just a simple, let the love of Christ control us. So really,
it's good.
Don't let anybody make the rationalization I do or don't have the gift. No, the command is for all of us. And it boils down to, has Christ changed my life? Do I love this person? Then I'll share the gospel. Sorry to interrupt, buddy. Go for it.
No, it's good. I just want to point out, Shad, you've never shared the gospel with me. And so
oops.
Am I? So you just define the relationship in that sense?
No, I love you, bro. I love you. Okay. This afternoon,
I appreciate that.
This afternoon, I'm going to share the gospel with you.
Okay.
I'll make a gospel appointment with you.
There we go. I'd love it. But in that moment, Bo is sharing, and you and Paul and York Moore are sitting next to each other. Okay. And three guys with lots of experience sharing the gospel. And Bo was saying something. I forget what he's saying, but I look over and you and Paul and York are all like high-fiving and like, "Oh man, that's good. Hey, write that. What did he say?" Like you're all taking notes and you're learning.
I'll tell you what he said.
It was the awkward tax.
Yo, man. I've quoted him 50 times since then. He just said, he said, sometimes when you're sharing the gospel and you're giving someone an opportunity to receive Christ, there might be a few seconds of awkward silence. That as you're giving them an opportunity to receive Christ, you're zipping the lip and letting him answer. He says, you know what? I love that person enough that I'm willing to pay the awkward bill. Oh man, I'm willing to pay the awkward bill. Wow. Oh man, I almost started crying. And Paul says this. He says, sometimes a lot of times people are won to Christ through awkward conversations.
Right.
And I've come to the conclusion that we are more concerned about people rejecting us than we are them rejecting Jesus. Now that's a sad commentary on our Christianity, right? But it's true. The reason we don't share the gospel mainly is because I don't care. But secondly, I'm afraid to be rejected. And so I don't know. I just thought when I heard that, I'm going to risk the relationship enough. I'm going to lay my life down enough that if there's any awkwardness at all, I'll pay that bill. I'll take that on myself. Oh, that was powerful. Anyway, go ahead, bro.
I remember that moment, and because the thing about EDM 23 is, sometimes the assumption is, man, I'm not going to another conference. Like I can do this. But I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, there are three veterans in the field who are learning something new and fresh. And that image coupled with that last session when we were just having some Q&A and talking, and a lady stood up in the crowd and just said, we're just kind of at this small college in our, kind of regional town. And I didn't know anything. I didn't know people did college ministry, but we just kind of were volunteers. And I just thought I'd come because it's the first thing I ever thought of. And she said, I just didn't know people had a plan. I didn't know people really did this. And so for me, EDM 23 was like the best, or the veterans get better, and the rookies realize that this can be something that you can do and be strategic in it. And so kind of as I've been framing kind of EDM 25, man, I just want EDM 25 to be a potluck. Like a good old fifth Sunday potluck where everybody brings their collegiate ministry dish, and for maybe our younger generations listening, potluck is when everybody in the church cooks their favorite dish and brings it and they all share. And I just want EDM to be a potluck where everybody brings their favorite collegiate dish, the thing they do the best. And we all just feast. We all learn from each other. We all celebrate it. And so that's the stuff that gets me up in the morning. That's the stuff that is keeping me doing the details. Is looking forward to being with everybody and to see that happen.
One thing, and I know you're going to close this out here, Clayton, but one thing that you and I and Paul are developing also, besides this book, but is a 2-day training. I just got an invite from a group in Indiana, by the way, that wants us to come. And it used to be 4 days, and it used to be much more extensive, but we're trying to boil it down and package a little bit more realistic, where it's, you read one book or 2 books ahead of time, and we're going to be there for 2 days and training your staff, not replacing your training, but supplementing and supporting. Because if you're doing evangelism, you're doing discipling, you're doing mobilization, then I promise you, we will be reinforcing what it is you are trying to, present, train your staff with. But so as a follow-up to EDM, we're going to start offering this to groups around the country and beyond. And then you that are in Africa, or you have African contacts, we're going global, bro. This next fall, in Kenya, we're going to see how many collegiate workers from all over Africa we can pull together. And you can go to our website the next couple of months here and hear more about it. But we're going to do the same concept as EDM 25 here in the States. We're going to try to pull that off in Africa, and then Asia and Latin America and so forth. So if you know of people stateside or overseas that ought to be an EDM 25, please get them here. But then be thinking through collegiate workers across Africa that could come and join us. That could be a conference of a lifetime for them. Here in America, we're kind of conferenced out sometimes, but this could be a once in a lifetime opportunity. So anyway, those are some upcoming little offerings, Clayton, that I wanted to let everybody know about.
Yeah, we had this whole bag of goodies we've been kind of slowly eking out, and you just blew our marketing campaign right there. One podcast episode. No, it's great. Things to look forward to, my friends. And friends, wherever you're at, man, I hope it's a beautiful day on campus. And I just want to say you're making a difference. Keep it up. Keep sharing the gospel. Keep making time for those lost students. Make time to disciple and help students catch a vision for their life, greater than just the plan that they had coming in. Develop leaders and send them to the nations. And we appreciate you guys joining us today, and we're grateful for what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Clayton. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast. We're on all the different, major platforms. Go to viastudents.org, man. We've been packing that thing for years with all kinds of articles and podcasts and tools and resources for collegiate ministry. And then be thinking about all the different collegiate workers that are in your contact list that you've built relationships with through churches and ministries. Reach out to them and say, join me, come to the EDM conference. I think it'll be well worth your time, your money, your effort. I think God will use it in your life. So until next time, friends, God bless.